That's just him coming to an understanding about something. So that's just my bugbear with the term rehabilitation. But whatever rehabilitation means, why the does the left pretend that they care about it? Because they don't. It's so weird. Go online. Leftists will talk about rehabilitation for very specific groups of people, okay? And I don't care if it makes you mad. It's true. If there's some black teenager who kills 8 people in a gang shoot up, goes to prison for 30 years, and then gets out, people on the left will trip over themselves to talk about how much they care about rehabilitation. They will stumble. They will break their kneecaps trying to move through a dense thicket of other leftists moving in the same direction to be the first to say, yes, I think rehabilitation is real, and just because he killed 8 people before does not mean that he's bad now. They won't do that with rapists. I mean, I think rape's really bad. I think murdering 8 people is pretty bad too, personally. But they don't do the same. I've heard a lot of talks about a guy who got wrapped up into gang stuff, or maybe, whatever, even supremacist ideology, killed people, went to jail for it, and now they do like talking tours, you know what I mean? I don't think I've ever heard that with somebody who raped people, went to jail, and then rehabilitated. I don't think the left would accept that. I'm not sure why. I mean, there are certainly instances where killing a person can be justified, like in self defense, but we're talking about non justified instances of killing someone, in which case that, it seems kind of weird. Um, if you're like, if you were homeless or a woman or a trans, oh God, add up the modifiers here, and you do something bad, most of the time I feel like the left is pretty keen on rehabilitation. This though, if you have at any point in your life been a reactionary, they will never accept you. Trust me, I know. If there is this insistence on the part of left-leaning people that any kind of reactionary behavior is some sort of permanent stain against your character. I remember this like really vividly from a couple of years ago. There's a person in our community who used to be a neo-Nazi, and
Very, very interesting because I've spoken about this exact same thing on this channel. The selective empathy of the left, and more broadly, the selective empathy of American partisans. It's not a left wing thing, it's not a conservative thing, yet again, it's an American thing. But those at the top would like us to focus in a very binary manner, us versus them, left versus right, instead of recognizing the real problems, like tribalism, echo chambers, social media. So, in relation to the left specifically, I've spoken about how, for example, they'll talk a lot about, housing should be a right, no one should be homeless, and they talk about, advocating for the poor, right? People should make fair wages, right? And they talk about people should be compensated for their labor. You have people that are greatly responsible for the wealth generated by those at the top not getting their fair share, right? They talk about the value of their labor. Now, if the labor is coming from someone who is, let's say, upper middle income or greater, all of a sudden that empathy doesn't exist. You could work your ass off, work yourself into the hospital, and no empathy whatsoever. Right? They don't care about you. You're rich. They treat you, the upper middle class, just like the billionaire class. There's no difference. In their eyes, you have the poor and you have everybody else. Right? So they're perfectly happy letting the middle class be a dead end, a shrinking dead end. So they'll support the poor, help to enable them to elevate themselves beyond being in the poor class and become middle income. But then the minute you're middle income, you get abandoned So there's a lot of holes that are left for you to fall through and end up right at the bottom where you started, right? So you're really, really poor, you're struggling, you're not getting, paid well. They advocate for programs that help keep you above water, right? And that extra safety net or cushion, whatever it is, if they do create it and it applies to you, enables you the ability, the freedom to be able to, reach higher and get yourself out of being poor, right? But then there's no focus on the group that you now join. So you're on your own, right? And it's not even just you're on your own. They'll come after you as well, right? You have enough money to buy a home that's big enough to house multiple people, and then you're going to charge other people to live in other parts of the home? How dare you, right? You should have taken that same money and bought a house just for you. That would be better, right? Buy a monstrous single family home just for you, instead of buying a 3-family home and providing housing for 2 other people because you're charging for it. Now, if you were able to do it for free, then you should, right? And of course, a middle-class person can afford to do that, just like a billionaire can, right? Again, selective empathy. There's empathy for people convenient to the narrative, to the rhetoric, and then everybody else, savagery, just like you see coming from conservatives, right? They focus on the unborn, right? A lot of empathy, these poor babies, right? But a lot of bad things happening to the born, no problem with it whatsoever, right? In fact, you got people like Ben Shapiro, putting out savage videos mocking the idea of providing support to poor children for things like school lunches, right? Fuck these poor children and their school lunches. Why should I care about them, right? Growing problem of children being raped and molested by their teachers. No big outrage. There's no group of conservative moms going around the country trying to deal with children being sexually assaulted by their teachers, right? Inconvenient. The narrative that is profitable as being pushed by the elites on the right is they're grooming people in schools, this gay agenda, trans, this and that, right? So for that, tons of empathy and concern. Oh, the poor kids. We got to protect them from these groomers. Teachers having sex with their students? Whatever. Selective outrage, selective empathy. It's the American way. Left wing, right wing, 2 wings, same bird. But you're right. It may be the same bird, but it's certainly not the same wing, right? They're not on the same level, the left and the right in this country. But it's not a competition. I don't really care about who's worse than the other. What I want is both wings to be honest, consistent, logical, truthful. That's what I care about. Not who's better than the other. Well, yeah, we kind of suck too, but we're not like the other guys. Comment below. This is the Baby Channel. To be in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well.